the equipment from the op letting me use his lawn equipment to cut my yard. And on my way home, I was just thinking, man, I swung through this neighborhood that you get into. That well, it's a few neighborhoods to get to the op neighborhood, but it's that very first neighborhood when you turn on that road to get to his neighborhood. It's a brand new constructive houses, man, and these houses are beautiful. So I was looking at these houses, man, and I was like, man, one day if it be the Lord will, man, I can own one of these things. But after I left, I was started thinking to myself, I was like, wait a minute, man. I think I need to focus on remembering like keeping the main thing, bro. Because the reason I'm saying that is because like we're talking about now, staying focused, right? It's easy in this side of life to get caught up in the things on this side of life, right? Of course, brother's not saying it's a sin to have nice things, but see, the problem is when we desire these nice things so much, we forget that the Most High has better for us later on. You know what I'm saying? Or he could give it to us, on this side. Who knows? But if we start glorying and envying the things that a lot of people of this world have, eventually we'll begin to fall victim to doing the things that the world does to obtain these things. So that's why it's important to stay focused and put evil away from among you, as it says in Deuteronomy 20 and I think 21 as well. Because a lot of times, man, we get caught up in this life, the cares of this life, what we don't have, not focused on what we do have, and then eventually we begin to hurt people around us, right? And it's powerful that you can see it hurt even Khan's family, because again, you got to remember that you have to do right. You have to do right for other people around you as well. You, even though we're all going to be judged on a man by man basis as the Lord did, but you see how even Khan was judged on a man by man basis, but yet it affected his whole family. So I'm just going on a little diatribe, but I would just to sum it up, I'm just saying it's powerful because that was literally the I guess the topic of my fast yesterday is to remember myself, to check myself and say, man, don't get caught up in desiring the things of this life, because at the end of the day, when I was driving home, I was thinking to myself, I said, man, one day all this stuff is going to crash and burn anyway. And it's not going to be worth nothing if I'm dead. So what does it matter if I have it? Whether I live or whether I die, long as I'm focused on seeking the riches of the kingdom, then all these things will be added, right? Bakan.
Man. One thing that you said that I thought was on the money is we get caught up in the things that have clout in this life. You know what I'm saying? When you look at a Khan, that could have now we going in on a Khan, and the Lord went in on a Khan, right? And the people went in on a Khan, right? But a Khan is easily one of us any day of the week, right? Like the brother said, man, we may look at a house and think, man, I just want that barn dominium, man. If I get that barn dominium, but hey, look, the Lord know we get that barn dominium, we might be sorrowful when he come back. We don't want to leave that barn dominium, right? But just like a Khan, man, there's so many things that we cherish in this life that we don't have, and we wish we could have it. So when we finally get the opportunity, man, we gonna risk it all for that thing. And all that was coming from was a place of a Khan never having nothing, coming out the wilderness, never been the top of his society, right? Because he wasn't in the top of his society at Egypt, never having anything nice. And our people, we're not used to having anything nice. So we delude ourselves and become delusional when it's right in front of our face. So a Khan could have been easily, right, like the brother or the sister said, it's easy to get caught slipping. Any of us could have been a Khan, right? You don't think a Khan wanted to make it to the promise? You don't think a Khan knew right from wrong, right? And a lot of times you know what you're doing is wrong when you hide it, when it's not out, when you don't put it out in the open. He didn't put these things out in the open. He hid them. And 9 times out of 10, his family knew he hit him, right? And they didn't say nothing, right? So like the brother Yash said, it trickles down, man. You start affecting everything in your house, everything around you, right?
Right.
Go
If I
ahead.
could add one more thing before you start, too, it's literally that easy. Like you just said, anybody could be in a con any given day of the week, and that's facts. Because man, you got to think how easy it is. Like the family just said, how easy it is to get caught slipping, man. Because what you just said, when you don't come from nothing, like being realistic. I mean, a lot of us, even in the truth now, when we was living in the world, we probably didn't come from a lot of money. We didn't come from a lot of possessions, right? And when you see, your comrades or your peers among you have these goodly possessions, you begin to kind of get kind of like insecure about self in a sense. So if you've been broke before and you finally get some money, this is what causes you to do a lot of impulse buying, right? This is why a lot of times when people get paid, and even myself, have to work on that, right? When you get money, you want to start going and doing this and doing that, spending this, spending that, instead of using that wisdom to, kind of like be wise about your decision making. This is why a lot of people fall off when they start thinking about these possessions that we can have, because at the end of the day, man, when you ain't came from nothing before, it's kind of like it kind of pains you to see that you ain't got it or you still ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? So you start doing things to get it, not even realizing before too long, you start realizing the things that you're doing are not even of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Or you could be keeping the commandments per se, but your focus throughout the week is not on keeping the commandments. Your focus is on getting the money. And that's going to eventually cause you to start slipping and fading too. Because remember, the ox said earlier, we have to circumcise not only our flesh, but the foreskin of our hearts. So this is two part. This is physical and spiritual. And if our heart posture is so focused on the things of this world, yet we wear the fringes. I mean, yet we keep the Sabbath day, but we so focused on the things of this world. I mean, all of it is going to come to naught at the end of the day anyway. So we got to just remember to, in spirit and in truth, just kind of stay focused on the end goal, because I can attest to this. I had to check myself yesterday, like I said, desiring these worldly possessions, looking at what I can have on this side of life, praying that I get it. But at the end of the day, man, what does it matter? What does it matter? You know what I'm saying? The glory of the kingdom is what should be the first and foremost thing. Pecan.
Man. So, I was watching an interview the other day, and he said he believes, the dude that was speaking said he believes if you have over $10 million, he said, I believe you going to hell. He said, because I don't know what you did to get more than 10 million plus dollars. If you in the billions, you definitely going to hell. He said, I don't know what you did to get that money. He said, and I don't know what you're doing to sustain that money, but I can tell you, you're breaking some of the laws of God to keep it. He said, he said, me personally, if I get 7,000, if I get 7 million, I'm giving away 2 million, because I just feel comfortable, with 1 to 5 million. He said, but he's saying the reason why he believes that way is because once you get to a point to where you can have anything you want in life, man always perverts that freedom, and man always gives in to himself. And so a lot of times, man, I'm saying that to say the Most High God is keeping stuff away from you because he know what you'll do if you have it, right? He know how you'll pervert it. He know that how you're surfeit and go beyond what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, man.
Right?
If you, what the person said, man, whoever you were listening to, it makes sense, man, because a lot of people would think, oh, conspiracy theorists is talking about selling their soul. Not necessarily, man. A lot of times, the big money comes from jobs where you got to take. Where we was talking about this earlier, like sales jobs. You literally are lying to folks and begging folks, right? Other jobs where you might not be lying or begging, right? But you got to work on the Sabbath, right? Other jobs where you talking about like Matthew the publican, right? You're into taxes and all of that. You're extorting folks and all of that, right? So when it comes down to all these, how you get your money, man, you start getting that surplus money. Not saying anything is technically wrong with it, but you got to understand, like, how did that person get it? They probably have a job. 9 times out of 10 is going, some type of way around the laws of God, right? May not be super directly, but indirectly most of the time. And that's the way it's supposed to be. It really, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not supposed to be, just living it up. I mean, even think about like LeBron James, right? he got all this money. You might say he's not doing nothing bad, but yeah, he get on camera and coon out from time to time, right? Charles Barkley, Shaq, and all of them guys, right? People that know that we should be loving one another. When I talk about one another, I'm talking about your fellow, brothers. But they go and they do something or say something contrary to that in front of the public.
So I'll say
Even that right there.
Yeah, I'll say this too. For example, now everybody know about Kyrie. Everybody know about Jaylen Brown, right? We heard black celebrities like LeBron James and others stand up for Ukraine, stand up for people that they've never met in their life that could care less about them and their situation, right? But when the opportunity comes to defend your own people and to stand with your own people, right? We covet, like we've been reading all today, we covet the things of Egypt. We covet the things of Babylon. We think, you know what? I know they did my brothers wrong and they should be on this Olympic team, but I'm not giving up my chance to be in the Olympics. I'm not giving my chance to go to Paris.
My endorsement deal with Nike.
My endorsement deal with Nike, you know why? Because we don't love one another no more. And because we got to do something strange for some change, right? To stay at that status. Think about P. Diddy. Everybody say no Diddy, right? We know Diddy probably had to do some things to keep that $1 billion. He still wasn't happy, right? Even when he got the $1 billion, right? A lot of these people aren't happy. We know, they say conspiracies or whatever, but we know for Beyonce to be at the top where she is today, she either had to do some type of witchcraft or she had to give it up. We hear the allegations of Kamala. We hear all these things happening, right? And people are making they're choosing their side, right?
Just like
see somebody gain the world, and we see that the gospel is to who? The poor, the brokenhearted, the fatherless, the widow. When we see how Christ lived, and when he said that his disciples would follow suit after him, when we see that all these things, in the past. Yeah, our forefathers and foremothers may have had that money and gold palaces and things like that. But when we get to the end of this earth, we see the state of God's people and how they're supposed to be. So understand, when you see with your eyes some things that you're coveting, right? Know that you don't know that person and what they did to get to what they have. But go ahead.
Nah, I was just gonna piggyback on the whole Kyrie situation.